Lots of families are experiencing their own Alexa moments, you know, just like the commercials you see on TV when moms and dads turn to Alexa, the popular high-tech personal assistant, for help. Here's what I mean.
Alexa, make the living room blue.
Okay.
Wow!
Ooh, water's cold.
Yeah.
Catfish!
Alexa, ask Roomba to start cleaning. Okay. Alexa, reorder cereal.
Alexa, play epic movie scores. Alexa, turn on the closet light.
Isn't it amazing the world we live in? Well, one Utah mom's real-life Alexa moment is in the pages of a popular parenting magazine. Salt Lake's Shira Sanford shared a quote from her 4-year-old daughter, Elizabeth, and it landed in the August issue of Parents Magazine. The hilarious comment made it to the magazine's baby blooper page, along with other quirky quotes from kids. It was a funny at-home moment that Shira says she just had to share.
I was trying to get Elizabeth ready for bed, and I was telling Alexa to turn the lights out, and all of a sudden from the other room, Elizabeth goes, "Alexa, turn mommy off," which was really hilarious. I mean, we just laughed.
Turn mommy off. Yeah, not a command program for that one, thank goodness. Definitely one for the Mommy Journal. Shira says her family used Alexa for 6 months, but the device kept interrupting even when they're talking, when they weren't talking to it, but talking to each other. So the family has decided to give dear Alexa a rest for a while. Cutest little family there. We love little Elizabeth's sense of humor and her moms as well. And we know lots of moms, like Shira, are faced with parenting in the age of Alexa and Siri and other smart devices. We wondered what kind of impact these high-tech helpers have on kids and their manners. Author, mom, and Back to Basics founder Connie Sokol is joining me. We've talked manners before, but how do you think these modern-day tech options are changing the conversation?
I think it's making it that we have to be, as parents, a little more proactive and trying to keep a little bit more control, which we've been trying to for years, but really understanding how this is impacting our kids and the way that we are communicating when it's already hard enough to spend time communicating.
Yeah, that face-to-face seems to just be falling by the wayside.
Yes, and I think as we are more proactive about, wow, how is this really affecting us, and that it's not okay to just be all in the same room and not interacting, then maybe we can look at it and say, how is this helping our family, rather than it's just a new thing and it's a new gadget.
Yeah, and whether families have embraced Alexa or not, whether they use Siri as part of their daily conversation, those tech touches influence us all. Yeah. So getting back to that human connection has to be the goal. Where do we start with that?
Yeah, I think just linking that to a human goal, just making sure that kids know that, especially in getting information or things that they want to accomplish, that people still matter most. It's people, people, people. Because even when they get information, they kind of think one source is okay, or they're used to being spoon-fed. And so when they meet with a person or interact with a person, there's so much more going on than just information gathering. A little while ago, I was helping a gentleman in our neighborhood, elderly, who was in World War II, and I was recording some of his personal history, transcribing it for him. It was incredible what he had been through, and hearing his own voice. And then we all went to dinner to celebrate, and then he told us more stories from his own, just from his own perspective and feelings. It was so powerful, and that's what we miss when we Google or when we check it off. Helping kids to understand this is what's important, this is an asset.
Well, that story is perfect because there is technology that exists that could do that work for him.
Exactly.
But the experience you had sitting there knee to knee, listening to him kind of download those stories probably enriched your life just as much as it did his as he shared it.
Absolutely. I went and had a family night with our family and said, wow, these are some experiences, and wow, bring to life the World War II rather than just I had to sit through a lecture and make the notes and research it on Google.
So Shira, that cute mom who had the Alexa parenting moment, she told our producer that there was another moment that played out that was cute and funny where she was, excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. I caught it, I caught it, I caught it. That's never happened to me before. Thought I was gonna lose it. All right, anyway, she said she had another fun parenting moment where she was asking Google Maps for directions to the grocery store, and her little daughter kind of cut her off and said, what about directions to Disneyland, right? Which was cute and funny, but how can we also, in line with this topic, how can we help kids kind of keep a balanced perspective on life when this technology is stepping forward to provide so many easy answers?
Well, I think helping to teach them those skills, those reasoning and life skills, the critical thinking skills, those are getting lost, and they're just just getting this sort of a check-off mentality. If I look up something, I get it, I put it in my report, and it's done. Instead of it letting them change them. I know that starting young, even with my kindergartner, I'm reading a book with him, and I don't do this all the time, but I'll be reading along and say, why was the puppy sad? Or why do you think that the dinosaur made that choice? Because that doesn't seem very smart. That I ask him some different questions, and he starts thinking, and he'll sort of pre-guess when we turn the page. And these kinds of things are huge because they're going to have to deal with things as they become teenagers and adults that aren't going to have ready answers. They've got to evaluate and analyze and have this analytical thinking. My daughter does Musical.lys and Lively's, and she's had some comments that we've had to sit down and decide and work through with her, reason with her, which ones, how does she respond to this? What's going to be the impact? What's the domino effect? And even if she does respond or not to them. So these reasoning skills are super important.
Do you see tech also, Connie, getting in the way of basic human instinct? We rely, I mean, I've done this before where I've pulled up a map to an area that I'm not that familiar with, and even though I know it's not quite sending me in the right direction, I default and follow it.
Because I don't trust my,
How does that play out from a kid's perspective?
Really frustrating. A kid's perspective, we're helping them to trust their instincts is so important. I think these devices can be such a great tool, and I think that's the attitude that is one that's helpful, because like my daughter, she just went to go get a job, and she had to decide between two jobs. So she used Google to research a resume template that was good for her. Great, that's a perfect way to companion it with their instincts and already who they are, and trusting and processing and growing. We sat down, we talked about a job interview, what it looks like, what it requires, what my experience had been, what she already had as skills, what she already knew, what her success experiences had already been. Then she went into that scenario with the combo of both. So she was able to do the best of what technology had to offer and this growth. And so she was able to make a good decision between the two offers and what she really needed for now and in the future, which you can't get from just a command.
Yeah, Google can't tell you the workings of your heart or even the workings of your own brain. You've got to be able to develop that for yourself.
Synthesize, process it, evaluate it, and analyze it, and then be able to make a decision and move forward.
You're really encouraging parents to remind their kids, and I love this phrase, eyeballs are important.
Yeah.
Look up, people, look up.
Oh my word. And I see this all the time, elevators, people walking around. I've just watched myself, how often we are looking down at a device. I was talking with my daughter because one day something had happened and I wanted to address it. And right in the middle, she looked like she was totally listening. And then all of a sudden she goes like this and walked out of the room. I was like, So called her back and we laughed and I talked to her and we addressed that right there. But I said, sweetheart, I feel like this generation, the kids feel like people are devices and they're only there for what they need. And when they're done and they don't want to listen or they're bored, they're done. They walk out. They don't listen anymore. And so these kinds of things, the please, the thank yous, the may I's, these aren't just niceties. These are components of a civilized society. And when we lose that eyeball connection, there's so much more in communication than just what's on a screen. It's eyeball to eyeball. It's energy exchange. It's feeling and thinking and sifting. And so these are so important, and being heard and being seen. And so helping to teach our kids that in a funny way if we can, but clearly making it clear the device goes on the table or the device goes in your purse.
When
we're having a conversation, we're having it right now.
And it's so hard to know because, I mean, the fact is this is the first parenting generation to raise a tech-centered child. And so it's hard to know how it's really going to play out, but do you really worry at the seed of it we're losing the connection point?
I do. I really do. And I feel like some of these things that were kind of on the border are really falling off the cliff. And for myself included, I have to consciously make sure that I'm telling and teaching by example that synergy is so important. I know one of the most important things is helping them to understand that growth is the most important thing, and that when you're completing a task, it's not just about this task completion and move on. Getting to a goal, there's the whole process involved, and I think that's what we're losing. We're losing that kids realize it's a process and all that comes from that and the synergy. I have BYU interns from the Marriott Business School, and they emphasize collaboration, all coming together and finding new solutions rather than just go down the objective, the checklist, and get it done and work.
And it's got to start at the home front. Great message, Connie. Where can people get more of your inspiration?
ConnieSokol.com. I have a Create a Life Plan book this fall. It's just for ebook. It's just on sale today, $2.99.
Create a Life Plan. Fall's a good time to do that, right? When everyone settles back in. Thank you so much.